They call it bluegrass, mountain music. It came down from the hills and spread like wildfire throughout the land. It is music that belongs to everyone. Where I grew up, deep in the heart of Texas, there is a place where bluegrass still lives. At first glance, it's just an empty room. But it's more than that. To me, it's a hallowed hall of bluegrass. I always wanted to return here and tell this story. I wanted to return to this old schoolhouse where history permeates every room, every song, and every story. Where the music, above all else, is still sacred. This is Pearl, Texas, a town so small it was once taken off the map. It's a place where life is simple, the way it used to be. Once a month, musicians, young and old alike, gather in this schoolhouse and beneath the shade trees to carry on the simple and profound legacy of bluegrass. An unbroken circle of fellowship, friendship, and music. This is their story.
Have you ever been to Pearl, Texas, when the moon is bright? Sitting on the front porch swing on a summer night. Hear the whippoorwill singing an old lonesome tune. Have you ever been to Pearl, Texas, on the night in June? Well, I've been all over the whole wide world and I've seen lots of sights, but there ain't no place like a home sweet home when you want a little peace and quiet. So let's go down the road, boys, and play a domino game. Once you've been there, you'll never be the same. I've been all over the whole wide world and I've seen lots of sights, but there ain't no place like home sweet home when you want a little peace and quiet. So let's go down the road, boys, and play a domino game. Once you've been there, you will never be the same. Once you've been there, you will never be the same.
My name is James W. Millsap. I was 80 years old, June the 28th, 2009. I had some people from Oklahoma tell me last year, they said of all the places we've ever been, and said we go all over the United States, but said we have never been to a place where people is as nice as they are here at Pearl. Roy McGaw first started that bluegrass program at Pearl, and he ran it for a little bit over a year, and he decided he was going to go on vacation, wasn't going to fool with it no more. And Ronald and I had talked about it, Ronald Meadart and I had talked about it, and I said, well, we can continue it on, and we did. We've always enjoyed going to Pearl, always been a part of that bluegrass program over there. And I've done everything I can to help promote it and keep it going good, and it's done good.
Roy McGaw had a bluegrass band, and he had a half a dozen shows or thereabouts. They took off for the summer, and then their band broke up, so they decided not to have it no more. So we had started working on the community center, and we just decided that we'd try it ourselves.
It's a great venue for this community. I mean, having grown up here and seeing the community center just kind of barely hang on, for the Bluegrass Festival to be there, it's just a great thing for the community. We have people that graduated from Pearl in the 50s that still come around every year just to get together and visit. And the school closed in, so if I was in the 4th grade, that would have been 56. So the school closed in 56, and we still have our, quote, Pearl homecoming every year for what is that, the last 40 some odd years. So that's a pretty neat thing, you know.
I have a twin brother, Irvin, and a year after high school we were drafted into the Army. We graduated from high school on May 27, 1943, and we were inducted into the Army May 27, 1944. We were a bazooka team. We shot the bazooka, he loaded it and I fired it. And we mainly shot at buildings and stuff like that. Started shooting at a tank one time, but it ran off. So, earlier in the war, brothers were not allowed to be kept together. But when we went, we had our choice. I'm glad we chose to stay together. It helped a lot.
When I was a little girl, Pearl was a bustling place. There was 2 grocery stores, a filling station, and a cafe in the front of the filling station. There was several garages. I'll say several. There was at least 3 garages, the post office, 2 barber shops, and a cotton gin. We even had outdoor movies that were just shown out in the cotton gin. They would put up a screen and we would all sit on the ground. And one of the stories was that one night in the movie, it started pouring rain. You know, the scenery was getting real exciting, and one of the ladies told her husband, said, "Come on, we got to get home and get the chickens put up," because of the rain. She got so carried away.
When we were growing up, there was no indoor plumbing. We had 2 outhouses back in the corner back here. We had running water, but you had to run and get it.
When I was a kid, Saturday evening at Pearl, that's where everybody wanted to come and bring their eggs, to sell their eggs and buy chicken feed and look for the prettiest feed sacks. And they would always sit on the porch at Harry King's store or over at the Carsville store and visit. It really was where there was no more progress in Pearl. There was no more need for cotton gins. But the town of Pearl itself lost its post office. It was after I had left here. But after our postmaster moved away and retired, they just really couldn't keep the post office because they didn't have enough. And so after we lost the post office, they took the name off the map. We didn't have a post office.
We've been through about 6 weeks of drought, and it's really hurt a lot of folks in this area, and we're feeling it as well. In light of the drought and the other perils of trying to do farming and ranching, is we have a little saying there that there are 3 sure ways to lose money. The quickest is gambling. Women are the most fun, but cattle are the surest. So I guess that kind of explains this year we've lost money.
I got 52 cows and 45 or so calves right now. They've come over now. I've got some liquid protein out, it's been so dry. They come over from the other pasture. And then they'll scatter back out later on. They may not come back for a couple of days.
Got a high-speed duplicator here that I bought last year. Once I get the master tapes made, I can make DVDs. I can make one every 5 minutes, copy them. My wife had a stroke in 2006, and she stayed in Scott and White Hospital 2 months. And the doctor first told us, said there ain't no way that she can live with a stroke like she had. And I told the doctor, I said, I tell you what, Doc, I said, you do the best you can. And I said, I'll talk to God about the rest of it. And I said, if you'll do your best, I said, I think she'll come through. Well, when he got ready to discharge her out of the hospital, he called me and he said, James, he said, I've already talked to the girls and they're going to be here at 3 o'clock. He said, I'd like for you to be here. He said, I've got something I want to tell you. He said, you know, he said, we've talked about deer hunting, elk hunting, bear hunting, quails, doves, all kinds of hunting, fishing. He said, we've talked about sheep, goats, and cattle, farming and ranching. But said, me and you never have really just sit down and talked about God. I said, well, let me tell you one thing, Doc. I said, for the last 2 months, I've been praying God would give you enough knowledge on how to restore my wife and what could be done. He said, well, he said, I want to tell you and the girl something. He pointed over my wife sitting there in the chair. He said, she's a miracle. He said, God wasn't ready for her to die.
When you come to Pearl, you step back in time, maybe 50 years. It's kind of like community gatherings from the past where people, they don't necessarily bring food here. It's not like potluck, but you know, you have a kitchen with ladies making coconut cream pie and hamburgers and beans. You have people playing dominoes. You have music on top of all that, and people come from all over to play music together. And they're not all just the same type of musicians. You know, there's a lot of variation in the type of musicians that come to Pearl. It happens once a month, and actually, if you've been coming for a while, it's more like a family reunion that you have once a month.
The nucleus of people out here are people that either still live here or grew up around here and are related to each other and stuff, and then it's built up over the last 10 to 15 years of the people hearing about it from all around, and a lot of people like folks and stuff that find that it's more like it used to be out here than it is most anywhere you can go nowadays.
Once we experienced this place, we came around the corner and we saw this old schoolhouse with all the property around it, trees and everything, and the first thing we noticed was it seemed like hundreds of cars parked around it. We started to get real excited because we thought there's something good happening in this place.
I work for a church in Waco, but they asked me a lot of times, where am I going? I said, I'm going to heaven. What do you mean you're going to heaven? I said, I'm going to Pearl Bluegrass Music. I said, that's heaven to me. I said, if heaven's any better, I couldn't stand it.
People are friendly. If you play music, you'll always have friends. And we love all the jams that we go to, but Pearl does feel like a family reunion, partly because everybody is drawn here. No matter how far they have to come, they come every month.
Some of the people that come here are old students from this school, in their 70s, 80s, and some in their 90s. So the building means something to them. To me, it's just a building, but it's the people in the building that make the difference.
My best memory of Pearl, if you want to know something about Pearl, was a couple of months ago. We started jamming in that room next door on Saturday night about 8 o'clock, and we did not stop until 4 o'clock the next morning. The thing about this music, if you get a group together, and Sue Nora was with us, you know, Fred's wife, was with us. And the thing about this music, when you get a really good jam going and the music is good and people are having fun, you do not want to stop. You just do not want to stop. That's why I come here.
Music has always been a big part of my life, and like most kids, when I was a teenager, I was listening to old rock and roll and that sort of thing, and I've had a guitar since I was probably 12 or 13. And as far as particular music that I have become to really love, I heard a Bill Monroe record one time. I was probably early 20s, and my first question was, who's this guy? Why have I never heard him before? And after that, the electric guitars all went away, and I had no more interest in it. I wanted something that a little more earthy and something you could do on the riverbank, and you can't play rock and roll on the riverbank.
One of the things about Pearl that's so special is if you come here, you get to play with such a wide variety of musicians because they come from all over the state and sometimes surrounding states. And so it's like sampling a smorgasbord. Every room you go to or every jam you go to outside, it's got a slightly different flavor. And so it's really genuinely fun for people who play music because no matter what level you're at or what style you play, you're going to find a place where you fit in.
But as far as Pearl, you know, it's kind of hard to explain. But the people are just so friendly, and of course we were both raised in the country, and people visited back then, and that's a lot of it too. A lot of people come here just to visit, you know, which you don't do anymore. Everybody sits home and watches TV and that sort of thing.
We thought for a long time, is it something in the water? Why would people come so far? We come 80 miles, but there are people who drive 5.5 hours every month to stay here and play at Pearl.
We think that this bluegrass has just revitalized Pearl. We have wonderful crowds who come out here for bluegrass. And everybody, the song that Clyde wrote and said, once you've been there, you'll never be the same. It holds a lot of truth. But other than the bluegrass, there is a very wonderful spirit here at Pearl as far as helping each other. We're famous here for the big dinners that they give for families. When they've lost a loved one, we have dinners at the schoolhouse, unless one of the churches wants to have it at their place. But there's a spirit of kindness and caring about each other that we think is unique. And it's so special, especially for someone who has been here as a child and gone to school here. It's coming home. It's wonderful.
Winston?
Man, it beat all the blinds out, and broke all the windows on one side. Yeah, it almost goes out. Well, it's one of them things. No problem. Everybody needs rain all the time.
They need it here.
And that stuff hurts.
Have you seen the shirts and museums?
Beef is my favorite.
Okay, beef.
It's wonderful. I'm glad I twisted your arm on that one.
Yeah.
You want the onions and the bell peppers?
Yeah.
Becky Weatherford have 3 little girls. They're really beautiful, blonde little baby girls. And one of them was only about 2 years old, maybe 3 years old. Scott was proud of her and he said, she can sing Milk Cow Blues. So it's pretty late at night and we're all jamming, and so we're all coaxing her, asking her to please play, do Milk Cow Blues. So we're all playing Milk Cow Blues, we're singing Milk Cow Blues, we're coaxing her to join us playing Milk Cow Blues. But she wouldn't do anything, she would just stand there. So the next month when we see them at Pearl, Scott says, I got to tell you guys what happened. The next morning, which was Sunday, she was supposed to go with us to church and sing Yes, Jesus Loves Me. So Scott gets up there with her. Instead of singing Yes, Jesus Loves Me, she starts singing the Milk Cow for the congregation. We're just trying to imagine her singing, if you see my milk cow, won't you send her on home?
That's funny.
Did I ever tell you my experience with the good old bell house?
I think it is that attitude is contagious. And it starts with Ronald Meadart, who runs the place, and he doesn't want anyone to be excluded. He wants everyone to have a great time. From the time that you come here, you feel you're welcome, even if you're someone just starting. And so you might have noticed today there's some people in their 80s who are just learning to play an instrument because they can see how much fun everyone's having, and they can see that no matter what level you're at, you're welcomed, and beyond that, you're valued. So second month of playing. He's never played the fiddle before. And then just like the very beginning. one thing you need to do, Ralph, is keep your hand down there, down by the nut. When my husband introduced me to bluegrass, we'd start going to jams and the bluegrass festivals, and I was so surprised that there's this practice of making fun of all the banjo players. And they're pretty rude jokes too. And I thought, isn't that gonna offend the banjo players? But they all love it. And it's one of the things that people look forward to is, in addition to playing the music, is to telling each other banjo jokes.
I had a friend that used to send me 8 or 10 every time before we'd come on a Saturday. He'd send me 8 or 10 jokes on the internet, you know. And I'd usually find one that I could tell it was decent, you know. But I got on there one day and it said jokes, and I pushed the button and print, you know. Used up all my paper. I had to put some more paper in there and printed out over 1,000 banjo jokes, all of them related to banjo. So I don't know why it's the butt of the jokes, but I guess it's supposed to be associated with comedy.
In the early days, either the banjo player or the bass player would be the comedian in the group. So, you know, I guess they would be the ones that would kind of act goofy. And the other thing is, I think there's a lot of people that are jealous of banjo players. It's a tricky instrument to play. You're playing with 3 fingers on 5 strings in 4/4 time, and the math is just tricky, you know. So I guess maybe that's part of it. There are a lot of mandolin players and guitar players who tried to play banjo and were really bad at it. So that's my opinion anyway.
What do you call a pretty girl on the arm of a banjo player? A tattoo.
What's the difference between a banjo and a 57 Chevy? You can tune a 57 Chevy.
We had a pet skunk, and when it was very young, we took it to the vet, and we had it de-scented so that it couldn't make that horrible smell. But as it got older, we felt really bad about it not having any kind of defense mechanism, so we taught it to play the banjo.
Musicians started playing on stage. We had repainted the floor and the walls in there, and they said, we need something to soften this. You know, it's a little bit loud and the music, we need something. So we came up with the idea of putting quilts, hanging quilts up there.
But they hang quilts to hide all this. And 2 of the 3 quilts have shown up, so I'm waiting for number 3. When number 3 shows up, then we'll hang them.
I love that ladies make quilts that hang up on the back of the stage. And every month they bring different quilts, and they're beautiful, and the artistry is so good.
I'm Vita Haynes, I'm 84. Tell her how old you are.
Oh, I'm 86.
He's Grady Haynes.
Grady Haynes.
Okay.
And I rode a horse to school down here. And I graduated in 1941 from Pearl.
But you wasn't riding the horse then.
No, we had a bus.
We think we just know that we're going to Pearl the first Saturday of the month. And we come early, and we usually go home early because Grady gets tired.
I get tired.
Yeah.
How do you make $1 million playing a banjo? Start with $2 million.
What do you say to a banjo player in a 3-piece suit? Will the defendant please rise?
another lady and I we both brought beef stew, and we would always sell out. And she said, I believe if we brought a barrel, we'd sell it. But the banana pudding, one of the sweetest compliments I got on it was a lady came back to the kitchen and she said, I've never tasted banana pudding like that since my mother died. And that made me very happy because she compared me to her mother. But we have some good cooks in there, like Faye Blakely makes chocolate pies that are out of this world, and everybody's kind of got their own little special thing they like to do. And Cynthia makes cherry pies, and it's a place that you can kind of shine, do your thing, if it's something you really like to do. But it's basically a lot of volunteer bringing in the food, and we used to do all the work in the kitchen, but so many of our people have gotten too old actually to do it that we now hire help to work in the kitchen in there, but the food is all the same kind of food.
All the ladies in the kitchen, boy, they make some good food.
Yeah, there's good East here to be had. That's
Good
for sure.
homemade lemon pie.
Good food.
Got a whole big old bowl full of soup. Boy, it's good.
Very good.
I would have eaten the pie first.
Yeah, that's good.
Well, we're gonna eat this last and go back and get another piece.
Especially lemon
Can't beat
pie.
it.
That's the best lemon pie I tasted up there.
The ladies who cook, you know, food is an important part of Pearl. It's kind of true that people put love into the food that they make.
The word got around, I think we're going to have plenty of pies. You want a sticker? Boy, that's great. Well, we sure got those stickers if I can get my brain.
The power company doesn't supply the electricity for free, the water's not free, and the insurance isn't free, and the maintenance isn't free. Somebody's got to pay for it. They don't charge admission at the door, and they charge very low rate, too low, I think, for the trailers, you know, to stay overnight. So there's got to be other ways to make money. They do have boxes set out, and they manage to cover their expenses with just voluntary contributions, but I don't know, we've tried to come up with a few ways to increase the revenue for this place so we can pay for a lot of improvements.
We needed a new roof. And we put all our eggs in one basket and got a new roof. And the musicians came out that weekend and they said, how are we doing on the roof? I said, the roof is paid for, but we don't have enough for the light bill this month. And the word got around, so the musicians, hey, we got to throw in a little for the light bill. But the musicians are the reason that we have accomplished what we could out here. We could have never done it without the musicians.
Here's a good band right here, Leon Johnson. All these are good. Hope Brothers, Bob Coleman, Wayne Brooks, Ryan Brown, Ellis County, Seekers. So got a good lineup today.
It don't make no difference who you are, where you are, how much money you got, or how poor you are. You come and play. And they give everybody 45 minutes on stage, every band, and it's just a real good place.
There was a fella in our neighborhood that used to be in Harley Sadler's tent show, and he taught us how to play music back then, and so I have learned from other people by just watching what they do. You know, I haven't had any formal lessons or anything, but I just watch what other people do that are better than me, and I try to steal some licks from them. Back in 1934, Gene Autry was real hot, and everybody was trying to sing like him, you know. And I got my first guitar by selling the Cloverine salve, you know, like everybody else. And I paid $4.95 for a Sears Roebucker guitar in about 1934. And it came with a songbook, and it said, learn to play guitar in 5 minutes. Well, I've been trying to learn to play ever since. I noticed that all of the other songs that were real popular were love songs, and I thought I'd write a song about something else, so I wrote this tune. I'm tired of hearing songs about blue eyes and broken hearts. Thought I'd write a song about some other body parts, like nose holes and earlobes. Now those are really vital. That's the inspiration for this organ recital. I get all a quiver over cirrhosis of the liver, and though it doesn't matter, it's nice to have a good gallbladder. I'm really keen about a spleen that's green. I love them body parts that I've never ever seen. Now there's thyroids and adenoids, odds I won't mention. Needless to say, they sure get your attention. A belly button's cute, but it's useless as can be. Adam's apples have their ups and downs now, that we can agree. I don't get my kicks over ruptured appendix. What really turns me on is them kidneys with them stones. I'm a real fan of pituitary glands. Some folks think I'm weird, and maybe I am.
We met at school, then we started dating, and he finished school. And then I didn't finish, but we got married in 1942. I liked some getting through. Well, I guess I would have been a junior the next year. And so, anyway, we made it.
And 60 what?
67.
67 years married.
The difference between a large pizza and a banjo player? No, the large pizza will feed a family of 4.
What's it mean when the banjo player is drooling out of both sides of his mouth? Means the stage is level.
Well, these are my sons, Lloyd, Blake, and Lyle, and they are participating in some of this music. And what we do is they're interested in a lot of different types of music, but of course this type of music is what I've been most interested in. So occasionally I'm able to pull them in, and they play some music with me, and as well as other types of music as well. So. The boys first started off on guitar, so what we tried to do was get them to learn this song on the guitar, and we try to play it with a little bit of harmony on it so that it's a little more interesting. But this is a song called Pop Goes the Weasel, or it's our variation of it. But I do my best to try to teach them this type of music and pass on a little bit of what it means to me. But I think what happens with this particular type of music is I think it either captures you or it doesn't. And the boys, you know, I think at some point in time I'm hoping that it'll really kick in and they'll really want to play this music as much as I do. But I see this happen repeatedly with other people where they want their children to play the music, but they don't necessarily, you know, pick up on it. And a lot of people that do pick up on it, you know, come from it, you know, where they're learning from other people, not necessarily generationally, you know, through families as much as it maybe once was when there wasn't a lot to do, you know, when people were more isolated.
When I started playing, I didn't know about bluegrass festivals, and I tried to go to some beer joints and play, and you know, beer joints, you can hear music there, but the people aren't there for the music. And then I tried the fiddle contest for a while, and I'm not that great a fiddler to work the contest, But those guys had a lot more fun. And the first time I went to a bluegrass festival, I thought I'd died and gone to heaven, because here's all these people that love the music I love, and they want to play the music, and that's what they're there for. Away from Mississippi's Vale with my old hat there for a sail, we've come across Cotton Belle to the Rose of Alabama. Old brown Rosie, the Rose of Alabama. And I mean, it's kind of a strange phenomenon, but I found out later that back in the 20s and 30s, they had music out here every month. And a lot of these old timers remembered that, and I think that's why they come to it. But it's still a pretty amazing phenomenon. Then died from southern steel and shot. We'll drink, watch their bodies rot with the Rose of Alabama. Old brown Rosie, the Rose of Alabama. She's a sweet tobacco posy and the Rose of Alabama. Tobacco posy and the Rose of Alabama.
I'm in a group called Two Roses and a Thorn, and we're friends. And for my birthday, they gave me a card. This is a copy of the card they gave me. They said that was me. It reminded them of me. It's for my birthday. And this is before I got the hat, though. This is really funny, because they gave me this card, and then not long after that, we went to the Western store over at Gatesville, and they saw this big hat. And then I thought of the card, I said, oh, we gotta get that hat, because it's just like that card. So I said, yeah, I'll wear it. So anyways, how it happened.
That's great.
So we're gonna go on stage at 1.
You have to get him a guitar. His girlfriend.
He plays guitar too.
There's old John. I'll come out, John. There comes John.
Hello? What you got in there, Ron? Let's do Gold Rush, boys. Be amazed. Be amazed.
But when I first got out here, it's like a family. You come out here and it's not who you are, what you have. It's can you play music? And a lot of these guys, they sit down with you and they say, hey, try this lick, try that lick, you know. And then once you become part of that family, it's like a circle. You're kind of welcomed in, but then before you really sit down and play with people, you have to really be welcomed into the group. One day I was playing out with some guys and they said, hey, have a chair, sit down with us. And I knew that I was welcome then and have been playing ever since.
it doesn't matter how much you play or practice at home, it's never the same as playing with someone else.
When I first met Kenny Baker, Kenny Baker played fiddle for Bill Monroe for many years. And it was amazing to me that he was willing to show me anything he could do. Here's probably the best bluegrass fiddler in the world, and he's willing to sit down with me and show me note for note what he does. And I didn't ask him to, he offered it. He didn't charge me for it. And I thought, boy, that is worth so much because it didn't cost me anything. And I think a lot of people try to force music and they want to go buy all the lessons and everything, where it's out there. There are nice people around that want the music to grow, and I've carried that same tradition. I want to show people anything I can and not charge a dime for it, because it'll come back to you later. Whenever you teach somebody, you actually learn more by teaching than you do just trying to keep it to yourself, I think.
I've been going to bluegrass festivals all my life, and I started on guitar when I was 9 years old. And then I started mandolin and then banjo and fiddle. It's hard sometimes to continue, especially at school. When people find out, that I play the banjo or something, I'll get teased some of the time. I continue it because I love it, and it doesn't need to just fall to history. It needs to stay alive.
Albus Hill. I do want to meet you guys eventually after you get You get something? Sure.
I was helping my mom clean out a closet a few years ago, and we found my grandpa's old mandolin that we just had packed away. He died about a year or two after my parents were married, so I never met him, but I didn't know what it was, so I asked Mom what it was and how I was supposed to tune the strings and everything. So I started playing around with it a little bit, and then I got introduced to the bluegrass style from his recordings and different things that I started listening to.
One of the things that has concerned even Fred and I is sometimes when you look in the audience, you see mostly white hair. And the thing that's kind of made us feel more encouraged about that is there is a whole group of younger people who are so interested in bluegrass. And I think the thing about bluegrass that makes a difference, that can entice young people to play it, is because there's a virtuosity about it. What you do is you take a tune and you pass it around the band. So the banjo player will play it, and then the fiddle player will play it, the mandolin player, you've got a vocalist who's singing in between each of those breaks, you've got dobro, stand-up bass, and it can be really exciting music.
I listen to CDs and go on YouTube and learn stuff off of the internet and off of my CDs. You know, I'll just stop and pause them and play them and learn how to play. And I do that well, in the summer, I'll do that as long as I can, you know, all day. And the school year, I get busy with homework, but sometimes I'll do that before my homework and then stay up later than I should doing my homework.
When I pass those pearly gates, my crown be gold instead, or just a red clay road with red clay wings and a red clay table for my head. Saturday they learned a new song. 2 months ago I got an ATM card and I hadn't learned the 4 digits of it yet.
I'm Marvin White and I'm 80 years old. Well, there's a lady came out today with a boy that looked like probably 13, 14, maybe 15 years old. And he came out and he played mandolin, fiddle, banjo. And we were talking to him and I asked him something about how long he'd been playing. His mother says, "Don't you know him?" And I said, "Well, he looks familiar." She said, "You guys let him play with y'all on stage when he wasn't but 9 years old." And I said, "Well, I guess I'd forgotten." If you'd walked by my RV this afternoon, you'd have seen about 5 kids out there that none of them could have been more than 15 or 16 years old. All of them with their musical instruments, and I'm playing with them. And I encourage them anytime I can because I don't want to see us die out. I don't want to see the music die out. There's some of us that's not going to be around all these times. And I really feel bad when I see a child, a young person, walk up to a jam session and nobody invites him to sit in. And I'm going to invite him to play when he walks up to my jam sessions. I think you know that.
Our athletic department, let me tell you a little something about it. We had one of the best in the state. We had one of the boys, you remember Jack Petty, he run with me, and old Doug Mosley and Wayne Ballard won the state in the 440-yard dash from Pearl. From Pearl. He broke the Class B state record in the 440-yard dash.
What do you call a banjo player that don't have a girlfriend? Homeless.
How many banjo players does it take to screw in a light bulb? And it's just one, but all the others stand around saying that's not how Earl would have done it.
Good banjo joke. Actually, it's not a joke. It's a fact. This thing is commonly referred to as wire cutters by most people to cut off the ends of the strings, but to a banjo player, this is a tuner. If you cut all 5 strings, I guarantee you the banjo's in tune.
Be a beautiful young girl and you wish to loll in pub with a prancing hens, make sure you remember to slop your last slipper. Folks, I have really created a problem for myself. I have said so many of these one-y herds, I'm afraid that I have gotten my tang tangled up in my eye teeth so bad that I can't see a thing that I'm saying.
Good afternoon out there, everybody. Y'all having a good time today? You know, I love coming back here to this special place once a month. There's no place on the planet like Pearl, Texas. All righty. So we're going to do a little song that I wrote sort of about the circle of life for a couple. It's called His Anchor. She was the girl he'd always dreamed of. She was the only love he's ever had. But now she's gone. He's lost and troubled. Turned to the bottle to ease his pain. His heart is yearning for comfort. He hopes that he will be with her again. He never dreamed he'd live without her. They always thought that he'd go through. That's Mr. Larry French on the dobro there.
You know, James Reed, I don't know whether y'all knew him or not, but he was 54 years old when he died of a heart attack. But he was an outstanding musician, and he could play any instrument he picked up. And if a band was short, need a banjo player, a guitar player, a fiddle player, if they need a player, he'd volunteer and help with them. Some musicians won't play with nothing except their own band, but James would play with anybody.
I came here not long after I started playing guitar. He was the one of the first people that I met here. Bill Monroe started bluegrass in 1946, and one of the first songs that Bill Monroe did was with Lester Flatt, Earl Scruggs, Chubby Wise, and Cedric Rainwater. Me and James were both really into bluegrass history. So we could talk about that for, you know, as long as we could. I had just started on the mandolin, and I was in a room back there jamming, and he walked past with his banjo, and I was playing Heavy Traffic Ahead, one of the first songs, the first bluegrass songs by Bill Monroe. And he came and sat down and started playing the original banjo part that Earl Scruggs had done in 1946 and 47.
When we had the memorial for James Reed, and James's wife, Donna, is such a dear person, and everyone wanted to pay their respects, both to her and to the memory of James for all he's done for Pearl. We only met him once a month here, but it seemed like he was the best friend to everyone, and he taught us all so much. And so Donna was in the front row. So everyone was playing. The musicians who were lining the auditorium around the audience were all playing Will the Circle Be Unbroken.
Most of the people at Pearl knew James Reed well. Everybody knew who he was. He went on stage, played in the jamming rooms, taught everybody. So most of the musicians here at Pearl attended the tribute. Every musician that knew him stood around the auditorium in a line. We played a few songs, and then a few of us got up on stage and did our own songs and told stories about him, and played songs that he had taught us and really liked.
It's always a pleasure to be here to see all this talent. This little piece is called First Saturday at Pearl. Some things just get better with age, like a bottle of good French wine. Bluegrass music is much the same. It reaches its peak after a time. It peaks at Pearl once a month when First Saturday rolls around. Musicians arrive from everywhere to be part of that bluegrass sound. It's like a huge extended family, back slapping, handshaking, and how are y'all? All the rooms full to overflowing and groups tuning up in the hall. There's talent here by the bushel. Age is a barrier to none. We'll be back when First Saturday returns for our helping of music and good cheer.
I think one of the things that really surprised me about Pearl that I didn't know would touch me so much is when the audience sings along with the people on stage. You know, Fred and I have gone to a lot of bluegrass festivals and we love them. We have fun there, we jam there, we watch the musicians play, and we've been participants in a lot of the audiences. But the audience at Pearl, I think because they've grown to know the folks who are up on stage, they're entirely engaged. And so when you play a tune that they feel especially moved by, they'll start singing along, and they sing along as a group. So it's like you've got this choir of people, you know, singing to you from the audience. And the first time I heard that, I couldn't help but have tears come to my eyes because it was so moving and so beautiful.
Will the circle be unbroken? By and by, Lord, by and by. There's a letter on the way in the sky, Lord, in the sky.
Okay, just okay.
The guy that left his banjo in the car and forgot to lock it, went in the cafe, got worried about his banjo and went run back out there, and somebody had thrown 3 more in there with it.
I come here just to jam, really. It's alive, you know. It's the music when it's played without speakers and amplifiers and everything. There's just more life to it, I think, and that's about all I can say about it. You know, that keeps me coming back again and again.
Going down this lonesome road to find my fatal victory. Our God must help us there to win. I
I'm coming back, but I don't know when.
Just keep on picking.
Yeah. Everybody said, they asked me, says, well, Dick's still getting up there. I said, well, as long as he can crawl up the steps, I guess we'll still be doing it.
It's getting close.
But I find myself kind of having a hard time getting up sometimes too, you know. But I guess as long as you can do it, keep on, you know.
You want to do something bad enough, you can do it. Some things to a certain extent. Now, I can't get out and do any manual labor like digging post holes like I used to and all that. That just kills me now. But
do you ever dig a post hole?
Yeah.
So if you come here and you like this old style of music, I think you're going to experience something that's unique. And that's this family atmosphere of feeling like you belong here and that you're valued, and people want to play with you, and people want you to come sit down under the shade tree and talk with them. and that, I think, is the distinction, you know, that makes it a little bit better, that makes people want to drive 5.5 hours to come here to Pearl.
I enjoy going to Pearl. I enjoy being around people. Just thankful to God each day for a good life I've had.
Yeah, well, everybody gets along here. Everybody gets along real fine, and we all have fun, and that's what it's all about.
Where I've learned everything I know at Pearl, and so it's really important to me because of that.
But this is home. Always will be.
Yeah, this is home to us.
There were some folks who were talking about growing up in Pearl, and they said, we're proud to be from Pearl. And I really think that that has something to do with why this is a special place.
It's fun, and it's a good life.
Have a good time at Pearl.
Have you ever been to Pearl, Texas, when the moon is bright? Sitting on the front porch swing on a summer night. Hear the whippoorwill singing an old lonesome tune. Have you ever been to Pearl, Texas, on a night in June? Well, I've been all over the whole wide world and I've seen lots of sights, but there ain't no place like home sweet home when you want a little peace and quiet. So let's go down the road, boys, and play a domino game. Once you've been there, you will never be the same. I've been all over the whole wide world and I've seen lots of sights, but there ain't no place like a home sweet home when you want a little peace and quiet. So let's go down the road, boys, play a domino game. Said once you've been there, you will never be the same. And once you've been there, you will never be the same.
Brought him joy when he was sad. She was the girl he'd always dreamed of. She was the only love he's ever had. But now she's gone, he's lost and traveled.